Welcome in, belly up, have a seat, and grab a drink as we talk some Wingman Fantasy Football. Welcome on into another edition of Wingman Fantasy Football, the League Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Furley, and as always, I'd like to thank all of you, or any of you who may be watching or listening to today's show. This is episode 158, a week 2 preview. And it's my great pleasure to welcome back to the bar Mr. Bernie, a.k.a. Team B.
Cuban B. Yes, Cuban B.
How are you doing today, Bernie?
Oh, I am doing so much better than last show, Michael. I have notes and stuff, and I'm ready to go. I had a couple of your sugar-free Red Bulls, and I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
Let's do this. All right, guys. In this show, we're going to go through a lot today, so get ready. Check those timestamps. We will start off looking over the slate of the weekend's prime time games. Check in on some player news and practice reports. We'll check the activity of the waiver wire for the Wingman Fantasy Football League. We will also preview our featured NFL games as selected by the audience, and we'll go through this week's matchups in the Wingman Fantasy Football League. We'll see who's on top of the newest power rankings. We also have our starts of the week. We have another installment of a fourth and long with Bernie, and then we grab our controllers and select our teams in this week's Wingman Jam. And we'll top the show off with a deep dive into our Mailbag segment. But before we do any of that, let's make sure that everybody is in the room. Wingman Assemble! All right, Bruno, here we go. Let's start off with the prime time games this week. There are no teams on bye once again, so all of our managers should be at full strength. On Thursday night, we had the Washington Commanders charging their way to Green Bay to take on the Packers at 8:15 p.m. The Sunday night game this week is the Atlanta Falcons soaring into the land of 1,000 lakes to take on the Minnesota Vikings at 8:20 p.m. And on Monday night, we have two games, guys, with the Tampa Bay Bucks sailing across the Gulf to Houston to take on the Texans at 7 p.m. And our final game of the week is the LA Chargers bolting over to Sin City to take on the Las Vegas Raiders. Which of these four standalone games catches your attention the most?
Well, I'm going to have to say the Atlanta Falcons and the Minnesota Vikings. This is second-year quarterback matchup here. Michael Penix Jr. versus J.J. McCarthy. This should be really, really good. Justin Jefferson, he's an elite target. Let's see if he can get some elite scores going on here. Bijan Robinson should see some good touches. So this should just be a really good game all around.
I like that one too. I kind of like the Tampa Bay Bucks at Houston. Houston looked pretty bad on offense their last game. But they're playing a very stout defense in the Rams. Let's see if they can get a little back and forth going with the Tampa Bay Bucks, similar to that Falcons-Bucks game from a week ago.
Yes, sir.
All right. Starting off with our Thursday game this week, we had 6 players in our managers' lineups. Starting off with Cubert's Rage, had Jaden Daniels and Matthew Golden in his lineup. They took our jobs, had Terry McLaurin and kicker Brandon McManus in his lineup. Always right, never wrong. Had Josh Jacobs, man, that guy is a stud in his lineup. An amazing Spidey felt the pressure at about 5 minutes left to kick off, threw Deebo Samuel into his lineup at the last minute, and I am regretting it. What do you think about this Thursday night game so far? It's been pretty much handled by the Green Bay Packers, as the Washington Commanders are just doing barely enough to keep this game within reach, and actually now it's out of reach.
Yeah, I mean, if you were doing a 2024 waddle away draft strategy, Tucker Kraft has got 21.4 points and Zach Ertz has got 14.2 points, and the game's not even over yet.
There you go. Night of the tight ends. All right, guys, now let's get into some player news and practice reports. We've got a lot on this list here, so Bernie, I'm going to read off, 4 to 6, and you just pick out the 1 or 2 or however many that catches your attention here. So we don't have to go through all the names in detail.
I got you.
Going off here, starting off with Chris Rodriguez for the Commanders for the second straight week is a healthy scratch in the game against the Packers. Meaning, sorry, Austin Eckler is woozy or in pain. He's wobbling on the field right now. I'm sorry about that. That caught my attention. But Chris Rodriguez is clearly not in the plans, as Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt is by far the lead back mixed in with Eckler. Ty Chandler from the Vikings was placed on the IR. I have no idea what his injury was. He played to the end of the game. He caught that kickoff return there when the coach waved him out of the end zone to get past the 2-minute warning. So I know he played late in the game. I don't know if he got hurt on. Oh, I think Eckler ruptured an Achilles. That's my guess. I'm not a doctor. That is my guess. Maybe Chris Rodriguez will be active next week. That's not funny. I'm not making a joke. I'm just saying we have an injury here for the Commanders. All right, moving back to our practice news here. Xavier Worthy is dealing with a dislocated shoulder. The team says he will not get surgery, and he will most likely not be put on the IR. If he's not put on the IR by 4 o'clock on Saturday, they're going to waste a week, which means he's probably not going to get there. However, his week 2 availability is still in jeopardy, as he might take a week or two to get back and ready. And let's finish off with these two Dolphins here. Devon Achane returned to a limited practice and is looking optimistic. Oh, no, this is from last week. These are both from last week. Forget the Dolphins. All right, let's stop here. Chris Rodriguez, a healthy scratch, but might be necessary going forward. Ty Chandler is on the IR. Xavier Worthy is going to have to probably rest here, but he's not going to get surgery, and he's not going to be placed on the IR.
Yeah, let's circle Xavier Worthy here. This is, obviously the dislocated shoulder that they suffered on Friday versus the Chargers. So obviously unclear timeline still. Hollywood Brown is going to be heavily involved in this passing game early in the season, I believe. Travis Kelce, he may see some increased target share here. So if you can play Hollywood Brown, you definitely need to play him. If you could trade for him or maybe use him as a high trade value, that'd be a good way to go as well.
Did you draft Hollywood Brown, if I recall correctly?
I did not this year.
Oh, that might have been Red Sox. Whoever has Worthy, I thought one of the guys, because I knew you had Rashi Rice, so I thought maybe you picked him up, but I think whoever has Worthy might have him as a handcuff. All right. Either way, moving along here, we've got a lot of news in San Francisco, man. This team is just snake bitten. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's in the water. I don't know what's in the training staff, but in terms of health, these guys suck. First one's good news, though. Christian McCaffrey was back on the field, taking a full practice on Thursday. If you recall, last Thursday, he was held out of practice with a calf strain. So that's good news for McCaffrey. However, his teammate, Juwan Jennings, has been held out of practice as he deals with a shoulder injury. Brock Purdy is most likely going to miss week 2 against the New Orleans Saints with a toe injury. And there are reports that he may miss multiple weeks between 2 and 5 weeks. Oh, hold on. I wanted to put a sound.
Uh-oh.
All right. What do you have on these 49ers? And McCaffrey, the most important guy, is going to play, but it looks like Jennings is a true question mark, and Brock Purdy is most likely going to miss a week or 2 or 3.
Yeah, Brock Purdy. I mean, this is the key factor here for them. If he expects to miss this week, I would say go ahead and expect him to miss the next few weeks. I wouldn't plan on having to play him, so have your backup ready to go. Mac Jones, if you need to stream somebody and you can't get anybody good, you might as well just give him a thing. But the downgrades that you're going to have to worry about here, Ricky Pearsall, he's going to lose a little bit of that steam that he's got going. Christian McCaffrey will still be solid, I think. But it's really going to come down to if you have Brock Purdy as your starter, who do you have as your quarterback 2 or your streamer? And then let's not forget that I know he's not on this list yet. Did you group all the San Fran guys together?
I don't know.
No,
bring it up.
Didn't.
Go ahead. That's fine.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I was just gonna say, don't forget George Kittle is on IR still, so that's also another one that's going to be down. So, if you've got some San Francisco assets, it might be smart to play them because their target shares are just going to start to add up because there's just not a lot of people to throw to right now.
All right. Moving on here, we've got Evan Ingram. He's tight end. He plays for the Broncos now, I believe. Is dealing with a calf injury, but he did return to a full practice on Thursday. Chris Godwin, we mentioned it early in the year here. He is expected to miss multiple weeks, but he avoided being put on the IR list, and he started practice this week with the team. This is the way I look at it. It's a double a 2-for-1. He's practicing while rehabbing, so he's going to get some practices in during the week in some capacity, one or the other, but he's going to be most likely inactive for the next 2 to 4 weeks still. But good to see Chris Godwin running around on the field during practice. Christian Kirk plays for Houston this year, is not practicing again starting off the practice week. The Texans play Monday night, so have a backup plan ready if you had any intentions of starting Christian Kirk. All right, we have Jalen Waddle is nursing a shoulder injury. Man, I swear every team's got a wide receiver with a shoulder injury, and some teams have 2. A shoulder injury, but he did log in a limited practice. And Darren Waller is this year's OBJ, Odell Beckham. He is not practicing ahead of week 2, and the Dolphins are now considering whether or not they might need to cut Waller in order to open up a roster spot, as they have a lot more injuries on their team. All right, what do you have on these guys? Anyone catch your attention? I would say the Dolphins guys probably catch your attention the most.
Yeah, Dolphins guys catch my attention. It's almost the same thing. Like Darren Waller, he's not even on my radar at the moment. But with Waddle, he is on my radar, and it is one of those things where who else is available? Who's gonna get that uptick? Is Achane and Hill gonna get the uptick in some play calling that's going on, formations that are going on? Now, if they try to put Waddle out there as like a decoy, it's not going to work. He's not, an injured decoy doesn't work. So hopefully, if he is on the field, he can catch the ball and he can take a hit. And if it's only going to be one, we'll let it be in the end zone. Let it be in the end zone, please.
All right, we got a bunch more receivers here that are looking like they're going to be questionable here, although I think most of these guys will end up playing. Come on, Debo. Oh, yes, sir. Thank you. Needed that. Appreciate it. All right, okay. Debo Samuel, who?
Who? Debo.
Behind the curtain here, if I don't have my the right screen in front, my hotkeys do not work. Okay. All right, moving along here, we have my prize pickup this week, Kayshon Boutte. Kayshon Boutte. Get it together and bring it back to me. All right, Kayshon Boutte, I wanted to put him in, but I wasn't sure. He has a questionable tag, as he's another receiver with a shoulder injury, as he has had 2 back-to-back limited practices. That, in my opinion, that means he's probably trending towards playing, but you want to get at least a full practice by Friday to feel better about that. Now a pair of Atlanta Falcons. Both these guys are dealing with shoulder injuries. Drake London logged a limited practice session as he deals with that shoulder injury. And Darnell Mooney, who missed last week with his shoulder injury, is also getting limited practices in. Last week, he also practiced at a limited capacity, but he did miss. So these guys are truly questionable. I think they're 50-50, but I'm leaning that they both are probably going to end up playing, but definitely check back on our Sunday morning quickie to get a better idea if they're going to be in. We'll stop right there because we got 3 guys after this. What do you got about these shoulder injuries? Boutte, London, Mooney.
Yeah, shoulder, breaking everywhere. Is that how that song goes? Drake London should be good to go. I'm not too worried about that. It's a good sign that he had a little partial practice. So as long as we're getting practices in, something and not just a complete rest day, then I think we'll be good to go. And then Mooney, if Mooney doesn't go, McLeod is going to be the guy. He might be a wild streamer if you're just super desperate. He runs really good routes for Atlanta. So everybody get that icy hot, man. Get Shaq paid a little bit more. Get them shoulders good.
All right, our last 3 guys on the news, a couple of 2 pretty prolific tight ends. To start with, Brock Bowers has been missing practice with that knee injury that he sustained in last game here. He is trending towards being a game time decision. I lost track of, they play on Monday. They're the last game on Monday night, guys. So if you plan on playing Brock Bowers, you better have a Raider or a Charger on your team to be able to make a pivot at the last minute. This is what makes this a little tricky. Game time decision, last game of the week, you're going to have limited options. Isaiah Likely is still not practicing and looks like he is more likely than not to miss another week to start the season. And Kinshawn Junkins practiced in full on Thursday in May be available to make his season debut in week 2 against the Ravens. He still only had a couple practices with the team for the season as he just signed last week. So there's no guarantee he's going to play, but he is practicing. Apparently yesterday he went to the NFL offices to have a meeting to determine, to discuss whether or not he has a pending suspension coming. And I haven't heard anything regarding what came out of that meeting. I just know he had it, and then he's practicing today. So he's going to be a little touch and go in terms of availability, but he is getting more work with the practice on the practice field, and he will be healthy and ready to go sooner than later, pending a suspension.
Yeah, so let's just circle Brock Bowers on this list here. And the other two, obviously they're not going to be anywhere near your starting lineup as of now. But Brock Bowers, like you were saying, late Monday night game, last game that's going on. Make sure when you're setting your lineup, if you're that Brock Bowers owner, that you've got him at least positioned in the flex spot. That
Yep.
will give you the running back option if you've got an option to put a running back in if at game time he does not go. If you put him in a running back, or if you put him in a wide receiver spot, you lose that option to
True.
put in a running back. So pay attention.
Good advice. I mean, at the very least, in a pinch, you could put like Zamir White in or something like that if you a running back at the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
All right, guys, moving on to our waiver wire this time. Oh, after week 1, everyone's got hopes and dreams and thinks they've got people they can go for here. We had 13 waiver bids this week for 8 NFL players, and 2 of these players received multiple bids. Starting off with our highest priced acquisition, Q Stonehands, Quentin Johnson went to King George for a whopping $23 for Quentin Johnson. But she wasn't the only one putting bids in. Red Sox Nation put a bid in of $16, and Amazing Spidey did his obligatory price check of a $0 bid. All right, we have a $23 bid versus 16. Is that too much? I think that's actually pretty fair in a ratio of a bid to second bid. What do you think?
No, I think that's okay. Coming off a strong week 1 performance, against Kansas City. So he caught 5 passes for 79 yards, but the 2 touchdowns. So I think it's worth the bid based on the week 1 performance, just because he's going to have a longer consistency throughout the year. So I'm okay with a little higher dollar amount for somebody that you might be starting more often than not.
All right. Our next pickup was another receiver, also by King George, also for $23. Calvin Austin III went to King George, and there were no other bids.
You paid too much.
Yeah.
So she wanted her receiver. She got him. I know King George in the past, once she has the injury bug problem a lot of times, but even without that, she usually starts off pretty hot. And she's mentioned before in some of our last interviews and stuff, how she rests on her laurels being like, my team's good, I'm just going to wait. So that she's a little more proactive in trying to get some guys. She spent a lot of money. She spent half of her fab this week getting these 2 receivers. So, good for her for being proactive. I think there's a little much there for the Calvin Austin pickup. What do you think?
Yeah, so Calvin Austin here, just looking at what she did, 23 for both players, I'm going to chalk this up to a mistake. I'm going to chalk it up to that 23 was already loaded in there for some reason, or she thought it was for the other player and she just didn't catch it, and then it processed. And then she looked at it this morning, or looked at it the other morning and just said, oh, what's going on here? Why did I just spend $23? So I find out, because it's the same amount. Like they're not worth the same amount going forward, I should say. Like based on week 1, maybe, but going forward, no. Quentin Johnson's worth that. But Calvin is definitely not. Definitely.
Well, the only way that can even happen is if I'm not judging anybody. I'm just saying how this could happen. Like a lot of times I'll bid on 5 guys, but I'm only going to drop one the same player for all of them. So once I drop that one player, all the other bids go away. So that means she put in these guys for 2 different drops. Whether that was on purpose or not, that might have been. Yeah,
that maybe that 23 just happened to stay in there, or was in her brain, and she thought she was typing it for one player when she was typing it for Calvin.
Maybe
Calvin Austin. So who knows? Who knows? Maybe
I am
get in
curious,
the comments, King George, and let us know.
Yep, but she got her man, so that's all right. All right, moving along here. This player had the most bids on them here. Bayshell Tootin, with the departure of Tank Bigsby. He went to under 40 for $11, but like I said, there were 4 bids total. Waddle Away put in a bid for $5. Crazy Fish put in a bid for $3, and Amazing Spidey put in a bid for $0. This is kind of weird here. He definitely moved up the depth chart with the like I said, the departure of Tank Bigsby, but we still have a secondary back for a not very sexy team in Jacksonville. I put bids in for him, and as I was going, I was like, you know what? I really don't want the backup for Jacksonville. I'll put a $0 bid as a price control, but I didn't really care if I don't want to spend money on this player. What do you think about Bashal Tootin? He's had a lot of buzz in the offseason, but when all said and done, he is the backup / handcuff to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much chalked it up. I think of the Tank Bigsby being gone, and I think that it's a strong speculative ad with legitimate upside. Let's not get it twisted. If here's the big part, if ETN gets injured, so maybe on the higher side for $11, but you know. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. With 4 other bids, though, I mean, he got his guy. So let's see how it goes.
I mean, it was double the next bid, but like with 4 bids out there, you know they were competing against a lot of numbers there.
Also,
Yep,
under
ahead.
40. This is his first year back, so he hadn't been seeing how we've been bidding in previous years. So maybe that was a factor as well.
All right, next one on the list here is Kayshon Boutte. Went to Amazing Spidey, yours truly, for $0 of all these receivers. I'm not saying he's better. I thought he was better than Quentin Johnson just because I thought he was a wide receiver 1 or 1A or 1B for that team, even though it's not as good of a team. But nonetheless, even if you don't think he's better than Quentin Johnson, which most people probably don't, the price differential is, I think, a good deal to get Kayshon Boutte, in my opinion, of course.
Yeah, I don't think it might not have come down to Kayshon Boutte being better than Quentin Johnson. It might have come down to what's the quarterback's name over there?
Drake May?
With the hair.
Herbert.
It might come down to Herbert is better than May.
It's gotta be May. All right, sorry, I had to do that one time. Okay,
Yeah, so
all right.
maybe that was a factor. He's just got a better guy throwing it to him.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree that, but I think the value for what you got is pretty solid here. All right, moving along here. Dallas defense went to Amazing Spidey for $0. Andy sorry, I had it earlier. Baragalis. Yeah, sorry, went to Amazing Spidey for $0. And the Indianapolis defense went to Crazy Fish for $0. And DeAndre Hopkins, part of it, went to Always Right for $0. So nice job, guys. We had a lot of $0 bids here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players got acquired for $0. And I put in 2 more $0 bids. So I had like 7 bids in for $0 and just kind of hoping one of these guys would fall through at a cheap price. So we got 2 defenses picked up. DeAndre Hopkins, I don't know if I put in a list for him or no, I didn't. But he was way down the list when you look at these guys, it's sorted by projections going forward. He's got such a low projection.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was just off the mark from people because of that. But these other receivers, I think he's just as good as a Kayshon Boutte, for example, and he's not even on the radar.
Yeah, the only concern I'd have with DeAndre Hopkins is he's going to be touchdown dependent because he's not going to be on the field as much. So it's one of those things. It's game script. It's touchdown dependent, and you know what's going to happen when Rashee Rice gets back and Xavier Worthy gets back. So unless you're planning on playing Hopkins right away, it's a risky play. So keeping him long term, I don't see it fantasy football benefit. Now I see an NFL benefit, but just not a fantasy football benefit.
Not to be a stickler here, he's with Baltimore this year, so he's not worried about the KC receiver.
Oh my
that's
gosh!
Fine. No,
my notes are from last year. Okay, scratch everything I said. I don't know what I'm talking about. That's a great pick. Always right is always right.
There you go. All right, guys, it is now time. We're going to add a new feature here. We're doing some NFL previews. We had comments from after our last show. I said we don't have time to go through every game, but if our audience members can pick their favorite games, we will go through the 3 highest ranked games according to our audience here. We're going to break it down a little bit. So we're going to start our first game. A lot of people are involved, like this one here. We have our game number 1 on the list is the New England Patriots heading down to the Miami Dolphins. That game's at 1 o'clock on Sunday. This game has a 43.5 over under. Miami is favored at home by only 1 point, really. So they're at minus a point, which really means they're not favored at all because you usually get 3 points for just being at home. And then let's see. So let's start with that. What do you think the outlook of this actual game is? That we have a 43.5 over under, which is low but not ridiculously low, and essentially a pick 'em between these two AFC East rivals.
Yeah, I mean, do you have the money line at Dolphins minus 120? Is that what you have?
I didn't put the money line in. I just did the spread, but I got you.
Okay. Yeah. So it's interesting. But I'm not surprised, and we'll find out later why I'm not surprised. But do you want my final score for this game?
Let's do it at the end. Let's just set the stage. We'll talk about some players, and then before we leave this game, we'll put our predictions on who will win and what the score might be.
Yeah. So obviously you're gonna start Drake May, right?
You think so? You think he's an automatic start?
Yeah, I think he's a start. You're gonna start Booty, and you're gonna start Achan. I think those are the three guys that you're definitely gonna start. Um, I what Indy did to the defense of Miami is just not, their secondary is weak, and I think the coach, Vrabel, can exploit that and set the Patriots up to make this a close game.
Yeah, I think Achan's really the only, in my opinion, the only automatic starter. I had May and Booty in my starting lineup going into today. I took them both out because Booty was questionable.
You have both of them on your team.
Oh, yes, but I had him in my starting lineup until 3:00 this afternoon. I took him out the last second because I.
Okay, well, let me preface it by saying, if any managers have them both on the same team, don't start both of them.
Okay,
you should start one of them, but not both of them.
All right. Okay. So we got to talk about the Dolphins offensive guys here. We got Tua and Tyreek Hill and Waddle. These guys were drafted to be starters. Maybe not Tua so much, but Tyreek and Waddle for sure. And right now they are not automatic starters. They're probably reluctant starters. You probably are going to start them anyway, but you definitely want to at least go through the thought process to see if you have better options here. What do you think about, let's start with the more obvious guys here. And if they are even obvious, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, are these guys automatic starts?
Waddle is not.
Okay.
Tyreek might be. It's too much talent, and it's only week 2 to not start him. Unless you've got some really good options, and really good matchups, I would go ahead and start Tyreek Hill.
So I want to ask you a question this way, because Tyreek Hill was drafted to be a starter. He was taken in this first 3 or 4 rounds, depending on your draft, obviously. So he was picked to be a starter. However, if you've got someone who's overperforming from that, round 5 or later, I want to put some names if we can think of some. I got one on the top of my head. Would you start someone like Ibuka, who was drafted later, who had a great first week? Who would you start between those two? Because obviously that's your third receiver potentially, or second if you're in a 2-receiver league. Would you put Ibuka or Tyreek Hill?
It's tough. My gut would say in week 2, I'm going to start Tyreek Hill against the Patriots. Yeah, I think that Ibuka is going to have a good game. But Tyreek, his ceiling is way higher than Ibuka's, especially if Waddle is not going to be getting as many reps if he can't play every down. So it's a tough call for Tyreek. Honestly, it doesn't matter who you put up against him. I mean, you could put up, Ricky Pearsall against him for this week coming up with all the injuries going on. Would you start Ricky Pearsall over Tyreek Hill?
That's a good one. I was trying to think of other guys. That's a good one. So in a vacuum, I would say no, but with the injuries to all the receivers and Mac Jones, I don't think Mac Jones is good enough to play him as a quarterback, but we saw he was able to sustain and even enhance the production from Brian Thomas Jr. last year. So I think he can hyper target the one receiver that he's looking at. And I think Pearsall's got a chance. I don't think he's got the athleticism as Thomas Jr., Brian Thomas Jr., because Thomas Jr. could beat guys over the top. I don't know if Pearsall's that type of receiver, because I think Mac Jones is just like, I'm in the league just to throw as far as I can. I don't care if I manage the game. So he's looking to chuck it. He's like, I like what Jameis Winston does. I can do this for 10 years. That sounds fun. So I think he's kind of getting into that mold. I don't know if Pearsall's that type of player, but being that we know he likes to hyper target, I would consider I probably would play Pearsall over Tyreek Hill, but I wouldn't feel easy. I wouldn't feel confident about either choice.
Yeah. And that's really what it comes down to is the comfortability that you have not to stress out, trusting trusting the whole process that you went through to draft Tyreek Hill as high as you drafted Tyreek Hill, and it's only week 2. And if the Dolphins have another bad game, then we know who the Dolphins are. It's week 1.
Right.
Obviously, I mean, the Dolphins scored 70 points on the team, and they still couldn't do anything after that. It's like these one-off games. This might be the one-off game. I'm skeptical that they can have a really horrid. They could still lose a game. Don't get me wrong, but a hard performance like week 1 and week 2, I don't see that happening.
On a side note, this is kind of a little weird. There's rumblings that there's been a new. I hate to bring it up without knowing the exact term, like domestic violence accusation against Tyreek Hill. There's a chance. Apparently, the NFL is reviewing. I don't know what that means in terms of a likelihood or not. Reviewing the situation. There's a chance Tyreek Hill may have a suspension coming. I'm not saying it is going to happen. My only point is saying that is there might be weeks where you can't play Tyreek, so you might almost feel like you have to play Tyreek on those weeks that he's actually available and healthy.
All right. Okay. I'm going to give you. You want to move off of Tyreek and go to somebody else?
Yeah, I want to ask you a couple. Well, I'll let you do it in a second. I just got a couple guys at the top of my head on the same game. Tua is an automatic sit, right? You're not playing him for anybody.
No, that's not true.
Tua, you would consider playing him in the right situation, depending on your roster.
Yeah, I'm.
You said he was dead to you last week. You said he was dead to you.
All Dolphins fans said that.
Okay, fair enough. And
there's a little bit of hope over here.
Okay, all right.
Am I starting Tua over Daniel Jones this week? Yes.
Are you asking? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they're playing Denver. That's a bad matchup for Daniel Jones. I wouldn't touch Daniel Jones with a 10-foot pole for this week.
Exactly. Am I starting Tua over Matt Stafford? Maybe not. Maybe Matt Stafford gets he's got a tough road spot here at Tennessee, but maybe I don't do that. Now, Tua has good games against the Patriots. So it's not, it's not. I'm a hopeful Dolphin fan. I don't have a brown bag over my head yet, so I'm not gonna just give it up on them. All right, let's jump off the Dolphins here. Let's jump off the Dolphins. Let's go to the other side. You've got Butte. Let's go to that. Okay. I'm gonna give you 3 names. You tell me, okay?
Yep.
Quentin Johnson, Jerry Jeudy, and Cortland Sutton. Do you start Butte over any of them or all of them?
Most people would say no. Like I said, I like Butte better than Johnson just because of his hierarchy in his in the receiving room there. The other guys, I couldn't do it. Cortland Sutton.
Okay.
Here's
I
have a question for you in terms of those. Go ahead.
Amon-Ra, Devontae Smith, and Ladd McConkey.
For against who?
Butte. You start Butte over those 3 guys?
Oh no.
All 3 of those you're gonna sit Butte for.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So there's your line. There's your line of demarcation there. The Jerry Judys of the world, the Cortland Suttons of the world. I put Quentin Johnson there. I'd start Butte over Quentin Johnson.
That's what I would too. That's the only one I would.
Yeah.
We have to talk about these running backs real quick before we get off this game. We're spending a lot of time, but we have a lot of Dolphins fans. What do you think about the outlook here of Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson? Must starts, maybe starts. Got to sit them.
No, I think you have to start them. The Dolphins defense is not looking good. So I think they are. Ramondre Stevens is probably a more of a must start. He's probably going to get the inside the 10, inside the 5 touchdowns. So I would go ahead and start him.
I think they're going to feature Travion Henderson this week. I think they're going to have a chance to take advantage of those the weak cornerbacks. They're going to try and get some work on the edges, and Travion Henderson is their edge running back. I think they're going to take advantage of that weakness, and he's going to get a lot of work this time.
Okay. So you think they're going to take the ball more out of Drake May's hands?
As much as they would anyway, but I think they're going to try and use their speed and get away from that defensive line. That's their best part of the defense for the Dolphins is the front. Get away from the front and then attack all those weaknesses that are around the outside and the defensive backfield.
Okay.
Now let's pick our winners and outlooks here. Who do you think's going to win this game? What type of score are we looking at?
Patriots 23, Dolphins 20. Miami's turnovers and their offensive line issues, they're going to continue, and Drake May is going to exploit that weak secondary.
I think the Dolphins are going to win this game, and by doing so, they have to cover since it's only -1, essentially.
Mhm.
I don't think it's going to be a pretty game. I think it's going to be like how they beat Jacksonville last year kind of thing. So it might be
Mhm.
like a 20-14, 20-17, 17-13, something like that. But I think they're
Yeah.
going to win. One you mentioned before, I think Tua is 7-0 against the Patriots in his career.
Mhm.
So I think that this is going to continue that thing there. They seem to be able to handle the Patriots. Next year, I think the Patriots might win, or maybe even later in the season. But I think right now, I think the Dolphins are going to squeak one more win out of the Patriots rivalry.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's move on to our next game here. We don't spend a lot of time there. This show's going to be long. I'm just letting you know ahead of time here, guys. All right, our next game is the Chicago Bears heading over to Detroit. This game is also at 1 o'clock on Sunday. Our over-under on this one is 46.5. Not that much higher than the Dolphins game, but the Detroit Lions are a whopping 6-point favorite at home. What about some players in this game who are must-starts, question marks, or avoids for either team? What you got?
I'll give you the controversial ones first.
Yeah.
I think the sits for this game are going to be Caleb Williams and DJ Moore. I think Caleb, he struggled after his early drive. He's only ranked QB 17 for me. So, he's got road concerns. DJ Moore, it just reflects his low ranking reflects offensive line and timing issues with Caleb. So I think those guys are sits for me in this game.
Just to make this one faster, because you already said you would sit DJ Moore. Do you consider Odunze or Moore? Who would you start if between those two, if you would? I just want to see who you have ranked higher, Moore or Odunze.
I would probably start Odunze, but barely. I mean, they're ambiguously ranked duos for me.
Gotcha. Fair enough. All right. I think actually of this team here, I don't disagree with anything you said there. Caleb Williams is a little erratic. He showed a lot of positive attributes, but he also showed a lot of negative quarterback play attributes kind of thing. He showed a lot of physical attributes, but there was a lot of negative quarterback processing during that game. The only player I'm surprised that I actually would start, because he was on the field a ton, including in the past game, DeAndre Swift was the main man in terms of being on the field and providing. He was getting screen passes. He was doing really good picking up the blitzes, which keeps you on the field. I thought he played very well. I thought he fit into what he needed to do. So I think Swift is someone you get almost a must start. Not your RB1. He's like your RB2/flex, but essentially a must start in almost every matchup except those automatic like super defenses.
Yeah, for sure. I would put him there, and then I would also just go ahead and start all your Detroit Lions, because I don't think that the team. I don't think obviously the offensive coordinator being gone on the other side of the ball at this point now. But I don't think the team itself is going to let that week 1 offensive performance go. I think they're going to hold that as a huge bulletin board material for them. And then they're going to come out gunning this week.
So this is a revenge game of sorts here. We got Ben Johnson up against his old team. Who do you think is
Yeah.
going to get the little kick in the pants that might maybe not make the team win, but will make them play a little better? Is it going to be the players for the Lions or the coaching staff for the Bears?
Well, the only advantage that Ben Johnson has now is that he knows the tendencies of that offense. He knows what works and what doesn't work for them. Now, that's a very small advantage because he doesn't know what plays are being called. He doesn't know what the schemes are going to be. So I'm giving this to Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. All 3 of them coming out hot this week.
Before we leave this game, is Jamison Williams an automatic start in this list?
No, not automatic.
All right, so that's the one we're thinking about, depending on your flexes.
Yeah. Do you start Hollywood Brown or James Williams?
That's tough. Yeah, Hollywood Brown gets a ton of targets in Kansas City, so actually, we're going to go to that game next, so we won't talk too much about that. But no, that's a very fair line to consider here. What was I going to say here? What's the over under on Caleb Williams catching a pass?
1.
Or I guess it's binary. Is he going to catch a pass or not this game?
I don't know. No, I don't think Caleb Williams is going to catch a pass this game.
I don't think he's going to catch one, but I think he's going to be targeted for one.
Oh, okay. Mike knows something we don't know. Playing Madden a little bit too much, Mike.
All right. Who do we have for the outlook of this game in terms of winners and score? What do you got?
Oh, the winner of this game, Lions, 30. That's 30. Bears 17. Detroit bounces back at home while exposing the Bears' defensive weaknesses.
All right, I like it. That's a right range, I think. All right, moving on to our final game of our what do I call these? I don't know. Preview games here. Our game 3 is Philadelphia Eagles, a rematch of the.
We're gonna call it our preview parlay.
Preview parlay. Oh, I like it. Preview parlay. Very nice. I love alliteration. I'm a sucker for that stuff. All right. All right. Our last game on the docket brought up by you, the fans out there, is a rematch of the Super Bowl. Game 3 on our list here is the Philadelphia Eagles heading over to Kansas City. This game is a 4:25 kickoff on Sunday. The over-under on this one is at 47, a little higher, but not that much higher than our previous games. Philadelphia is a road favorite at -1. All right, what players are – there's a lot of must-starts in this one. Hurts must start, correct?
Yes, Hurts is a must start.
Barkley must start. A.J. Brown must start?
No, A.J. Brown is not a must start. Man, okay. Yeah, you know what? If I said it for Tyreek, I have to.
That's what I was going to say. You drafted him, yeah.
It's too high of a draft pick. It's only week 2. You got to start him.
I was going to come back with you on that. Devontae Smith, is he a must start?
No, Devontae Smith is not a must start for me.
I'm going to give you a little stat here that says he might be. You ready?
Okay. Yep.
In the last, I think it's 16 games where he has played, A.J. Brown has played, and Goddard has not, and Goddard is now listed as questionable. He averages 17 PPR points per game in those 16 games.
Yeah. Okay.
So if you're in half point PPR, maybe take away 3.5 points at the most. So he's getting 14 points, and all the averaging 14 points in the games with A.J. Brown playing and Goddard not on the field. So I think if Goddard is out, Devontae Smith is going to be your wide receiver 2, 3, or flex depending on your league's roster configuration.
Yeah. Okay. I could see him. I would personally put him in as a 3 or a flex. Definitely not a wide receiver 2 though. For me.
All right, moving on to the Kansas City side here. Mahomes had his highest scoring game in almost 2 years. I think he only had 2 games over 20 points last year. One, I think it was 24 or 5. He had 26 to start off this year. So it was his highest scoring game in quite a little while here. Was that a fool's gold, or is he back? Honestly, I don't know that he's back. Most of that came in rushing. He had a rushing touchdown and like 60 rushing yards. His passing was still the same as it's been for the last 2.5 years. Anyway, is Mahomes an automatic start?
Ooh, Mahomes is a trickier one for me. He's an automatic start with an asterisk. How about that?
Okay. Well, let's find some guys you would start over him that you wouldn't think so. Would you start Herbert over Mahomes?
Yes.
Okay.
No. Yes.
That they're even enough. That'd be a personal preference. So you
that's a tough one. That's a coin flip for me there. What about would you start Justin Fields over Patrick Mahomes?
That's another good one. I think I trust Mahomes more, but Fields has way more ups. He gets 30-point games at 1 out of every 4 games. Mahomes only cracks 20, 3 out of 17 games. So I think I'd go with Fields there and hope for the upside, especially because they're playing against the Bills, who score a lot of points, and we saw gave up a lot of points. I think now Fields is not that good to take advantage of every situation, but the situation will be there for Fields to have another high-scoring game.
Right. And so let's just put in 2 people we've already talked about, Drake May or Jared Goff. I don't think you'd have that option to have all 2 of those combinations, but would you start?
I think I would say Mahomes. Most people would say Mahomes over both. I'm kind of a Drake May fan, at least until I'm proven that he can't do it. I'm kind of optimistic on that running game, especially being how Daniel Jones. I think they're different quarterbacks, but I think Drake May is similar to Daniel Jones, and that he's not a great passer. He can use his legs, and we just saw Daniel Jones had 29 points against the Dolphins. I think Drake May is going to be at least in that 22-point range here. Like I said, Mahomes only cracks 20 points 3 times a year, so I think they're pretty. I would take May over Mahomes. I'd probably do Mahomes over Goff, but honestly, that would be a pick 'em on who you think is your favorite quarterback.
Okay, and then the last one I'll throw out at you, old man that had a great game in Pittsburgh, Mr. Aaron.
They're playing Seattle, I believe. Oh, that shouldn't be tough, but it is. Isn't that crazy? I'd stick with. I'd say, oh man, and the defense for the Eagles are so good. I think I'd go with Mahomes, thinking that they're going to get revenge on a on a Super Bowl loss.
Yeah.
But that's just a narrative play, not necessarily nothing else makes me make that a good decision.
Is Travis Kelce a start in this game?
I think so. Especially with people like Kittle out and and Goddard out and people like that. I think Kelce is a start, especially in that tight end spot and even a flex spot. I think there's a chance he could start.
Yeah, especially with what's going on with Worthy. Kelce might play a big role in this game. He also might be in the end zone at the end of the game.
Oh, yep. So I think the running backs here I think neither of these guys are must starts. Obviously, Hunt, I wouldn't play. Pacheco, it was drafted in that spot where you play him when there's good matchups. And it's been about 7 years now with the Philadelphia Eagles dominating the run game in terms of defense. They stop the run game almost every year. I'm not looking for Pacheco in this game at all. Is Pacheco worth starting to you?
No, I'm not starting Pacheco in this game. I'd start Swift over Pacheco.
I agree. Yes, I think that's a fair line to draw right there. All right,
Yeah.
Worthy, I don't think we're playing him no matter even if he's in or out. I think he's most likely out, but even if he plays, that's just one bad hit from missing some time. But Hollywood Brown, I think, is definitely worth playing. Definitely have to check your roster. Like I would play Hollywood Brown over Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle gets nicked up all the time too, or at least he's in that conversation. So I would stay away from Worthy. I'd stay away from Juju. I would try to get Hollywood Brown into the lineup. I would try and be creative and find a way to do it. Obviously, don't put him over your obvious studs, but I would try and find a way to get him in there.
Yeah, he's gonna have more targets available, especially if Worthy goes down. So, if Worthy doesn't do anything in that game. So,
all right, who do you think is going to win this game? It's in Kansas City, and we have a road dog by Philadelphia of 1 point.
yeah, I'm gonna call this a very close game. Chiefs 28, Eagles 27. Mahomes delivers a late comeback to avoid the 0-2 start, the dreaded 0-2 start. But
I've got Kansas City. Yep, I got Kansas City winning this game too. It might be wrong, but I'm going with the home team here as well. All right, guys, moving back into some fantasy leagues here. It's time to see who's playing who in this week's matchups.
This week's matchup.
All right, guys, our first game on the docket is yours truly, Michael's Amazing Spidey at 0-1 and your lowest scoring team of the week 1 up against Corey's May Daddy 2s, who started off the season at 1-0. What do you have on this particular matchup?
Ooh, well, right off the bat, what do we see here? In the starting lineups, it's a close game. This is a pick'em game for projected points here at 98 apiece. AJ Brown is in there. I'm worried about that. I'm worried about Deebo Samuel, but I'm worried about Nico Collins as well. So the wide receivers worry me on Amazing Spidey side. I think the wide receivers of Calvin Ridley, Jackson Smith, Jamar Chase have a little bit better outcome for me in this game. So it'll come down to Justin Herbert for Amazing Spidey and Bryce Young for Amazing Spidey. Whoever can pull that out is going to be the winner.
So he's got some injuries here with Brock Purdy. Right now, he's got Bryce Young as a starting quarterback, and who knows what the outcome might be, but that's not a place you want to be in.
No, it's not, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world with Bryce Young, but there's some people, I don't want to say too much. There's some people that could be picked up and played.
Honestly, I think I've been going back and forth. I want to play Drake May, especially because I'm playing against May Daddy 2s. How nice would that be to beat May Daddy 2s with his favorite player, Drake May? But I don't know if this is a sucker play here, and he's trying to entice me to make the wrong move with his change of his team name.
Yeah, no, with your receiving core being a little bit questionable, in my opinion, and they're all healthy, I think that Justin Herbert is probably the smart play. But the coach might decide to just ground and pound this game because
that's what I'm worried about. That's what I'm worried about. I think last time that Kansas City game was a game plan situation because the Kansas City last year, the last couple of years have been the best run defense. So they're like, let's just not run on these guys. Let's pass on them. And that's what they did. I could see a game plan being totally different from the last game. And we were so excited with the passes to all the receivers and everyone getting touchdowns, I could see the coach deciding that's not what we're going to do today.
Yeah, and I think you'd be okay starting May. I think that would be poetic.
All right, moving on to our next game here. We have Paul's Cubert Rage at 0-1 up against Bernie's Team B, who had the highest score of the week last week and starts off the season at 1-0. What do you have on this particular matchup?
Well, we've got really good quarterback matchup here. We've got Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels as of now. Caleb probably won't stay in, so it'll probably be Goff and Daniels. So that I think is going to be a good matchup. But just off the top of my head here, I think the edge goes to Cubert's Rage. Cubert's Rage has got McCaffrey. Cubert Rage has got Denver defense. He's got the Care Bear stare, is kicking the ball. So I need to have DJ Moore and Caleb Williams out of my lineup, and I need the Lions to really do well. If the Lions do well and Jonathan Taylor doesn't lay an egg, I should be good to go. The only issue I have is I might have to play Kenneth Walker Jr. Or Kenneth Walker III, sorry. I don't know what to do there. Kenneth Walker or what's his name? Zach Charbonnet.
Yeah, because you played Kittle in his place last week, but Kittle's obviously out, so you have limited choices to make that benching.
Yeah. So I've got a little third spot that I have to worry about, but I'm not worried about it because Jalen Waddle's on the other side.
Fair enough. All right. Moving on to our next game here. We got Ben's brilliant team who started off the year at 1-0 up against our defending champion, Alex's. They took our jobs at 0-1. What do you have on this particular matchup?
This is, I'm sorry, Ben. I don't want to say it too rudely, but this is They Took Our Jobs All Day. Baker Mayfield and Jahmyr Gibbs are leading the charge for They Took Our Jobs. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I called it too soon. I rang the bell too soon. Joe Burrow and Derrick Henry are on the other side. This is going to be a good matchup. This is going to come down to who put in the better flex position player here. And it's DeAndre Swift for They Took Our Jobs and Javonte Williams for this is going to be a tie. Do we ever had a tie before? This is literally going to be a tie. These are both outstanding top and bottom end of the rosters.
All right, our next game is Andrew's Crazy Fish at 0-1 up against Ken's The Fantastics at 0-1. Both these teams are yet to get a win, and if I'm not mistaken, these two teams have the highest scoring projections for this particular week. So this is going to be a bonanza, and the highest scoring team is obviously going to get their first win of the season. What do you have on this matchup between Crazy Fish and The Fantastics? Battle of fish, or sea animals at least.
Well, I think that we got Justin Jefferson going up against Drake London. Justin Jefferson for the Fantastics might have a huge game against Atlanta, but Drake London might have a huge game against Minnesota. But Drake London's got that questionable tag. So I'm going to go ahead and lean towards Fantastics just because that starting spot, there's a little bit more question going on with some receiving core here. So Fantastics has got this one for me.
All right. Our next game is Katie's King George, start at 1-0 and spent half her fab after week one up against Brian's under 40, who's also at 1-0. The winner of this game is going to put themselves in a great position heading into week 3. But what do you have on this matchup in week 2 between these two undefeated teams?
Yeah, so this one might be a get right game. We've got Bo Nix, Genty, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, and Devon Achane I'll take the under 40. That's an outstanding lineup based on projected points. So based on projected points, under 40 should have it. But let's not rule out the other side. Bijan Robinson and Mike Evans, they just get touchdowns. Quentin Johnson, she's got him plugged in, ready to get 2 more touchdowns. This is also going to be a close game, but I'm going to eke it out to under 40.
All right. Our next game here is Reggie's Lion Eyes. Oh, he can't go 0-2 for the 5th straight year up against Nick's Waddle Away, who's also at 0-1. Which one of these teams will get their first win of 2025?
Ooh, Lamar Jackson for Waddle Away is going up against the Cleveland defense. And then That I'm a little bit worried about. I'm not worried about Lamar being Lamar. I'm just worried that Cleveland defense is a little bit flying under the radar. Justin Fields is going up against the Buffalo defense. Buffalo just let Lamar have like 40 points on the field. So um, I think that Lion Eyes might take this just based on quarterback play. And I'm going to say that Justin Fields might outscore Lamar Jackson at the end of the day.
That will be interesting to watch. That, yeah, you got a poor man's Lamar Jackson. Let's see if he can take this one down. And our final game of the week is Red Sox Nation at 1-0 up against Jeff's Always Right at 1-0 as well. One of these teams is going to set themselves apart in terms of the standings and be undefeated after 2 weeks. What do you have on this particular matchup?
Ooh, Josh Allen against Patrick Mahomes. This is a good one. I like this. We don't have any we do have a conflict of interest. Okay. Always right, never wrong. Patrick Mahomes. On the other side of the ball is Hollywood Brown for Red Sox Nation. So what is that going to equate to? If Patrick Mahomes throws 2 touchdowns to Hollywood Brown, it kind of negates it all, right? Doesn't the receiver get the advantage with those touchdowns?
Yeah, interesting. That's a close call. We'll see how this one
Yeah.
shakes out.
But, and there is also a conflict later on the list. Josh Allen on the Red Sox Nation side will be throwing it to Shakir, who is on the always right, never wrong side. So this might be a wash as well. Close game. I'm going to go give it to Puka Nakua, Josh Jacobs, Patrick Mahomes. Always right, never wrong takes this by a point.
Yeah, I don't have these teams memorized yet. You read off those 3 names. That's a pretty balanced, solid team right there. You got the quarterback, running back, and receiver all in the top of their games.
Yep, for sure.
All right. Now it is time to take a look at our power rankings.
By the power of Grayskull.
I'm living in it, no one man to have all that power.
Wingman Power Rankings.
All right, guys, we had some movement here. We're not going through every name here, but there's a couple names that caught my attention as we had some movement here. The Fantastics last week was atop of the power rankings, and they fell down to 6th. Who else? King George was last at 13th. She's moved up to 4th. So our top power rankings after week 1 is Red Sox Nation on top. Team B, well done, is at 2, and Always Right, Never Wrong is at 3. These are our top 3 teams. Unfortunately, our bottom 3 teams are very similar to last week's. Amazing Spidey has fallen to the bottom. Lion Eyes at 13th and Crazy Fish at 14th. And we have a nice tie in the middle with May Daddy 2's. I'll take the under 40, and they took our jobs. What do you think about you? You went from 5 to 2, a nice jump, Bernie, in terms of power rankings.
Yeah, 1 game down. There was only 2 teams that broke 100 that week, Red Sox Nation and Team B. Thank you very much. Projected points going forward, though, I was already projected low, so I'm okay being number 2 and not number 1.
All right, guys. Now it's time to move on to our starts of the week. Bring it in. Take a knee. Who wants in?
Oh, pick me! Oh, I know, me!
All right, son. Don't let me down. You're in.
Wingman Fantasy Football. Starts of the week.
All right, we'll do a quick recap from our last one. It did not go well, people. It did not go well. As Bernie just mentioned, only 2 fantasy teams broke the 100 mark. Everyone else was under projection. Not only did they not get 100, but they were under projection. A lot of red, and it showed up everywhere. Last week's starts of the week, Bernie had Kyler Murray projected at 18.5, hit 18.3. We're going to call that a push as he hit right where he was supposed to. Chase Brown, however, was undervalued here. Didn't hit his mark as he was projected at 15.8, came in at 12.1. Jerry, the Judge Judy, was expected to get 12.7, couldn't get double digits at 9.0. Our only player to actually overperform here was Caleb Williams at 17.2 in terms of projection, came through with a game over 24 points. Tank Bigsby, I felt like I got jobbed here as they knew they were going to trade him and they didn't tell me. I was projected for 7.7 points, and ETN went bananas, and Tank Bigsby barely got on the field at 1.2 points. And Mike Evans did not get in the end zone, so he did not get his 13.9. He settled in at 7.9. 8.6. After week 1, I was 1-2. Bernie was 0-2. As a show here, we are 1-4. So not good, but we have time to fix this. Not a good start for us, Bernie. We had a hard time getting to 500 last year, and we're already behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, it was not good. Murray, like you said, nearly hit, but Brown and Judy, they suffered from, lower than expected volume and efficiency in what should have been favorable matchups. So it's just one of those things. It didn't go week 1. We'll chalk it up to week 1, and then we'll move on.
All right. We have a chance for redemption this time. Here are our starts of the week for week number 2. Bernie, why don't you start us off with your quarterback start of the week?
Oh, Michael Penix Jr., Atlanta Falcons quarterback, starting his second NFL season. He's going to face. Oh,
go
sorry.
Ahead. No, go
he's
ahead.
Going
go
up. Yeah, he's going up against the Vikings. It's a primetime stage playing on Sunday night. Strong week 1 foundation, and it's a favorable passing matchup. Vikings defense will be dealing with a short rest after Monday Night Football. Minnesota secondary has allowed significant passing yards in week 1. So
he was on my list. The only reason I didn't put him up there because of the question marks of his receiver core, although I do think they're all going to actually play this week, but it just was enough to not want to put him up there. But he's projected only 16.6 points. You've got a great chance to overperform that. So good luck to you on that start of the week. My quarterback start of the week, I'm looking for rebounding as well. CJ Stroud. I can't believe I'm picking this guy up against the Tampa Bay Bucks. Tampa Bay historically is great at stopping the run, and in turn, they usually are very susceptible to giving up points in the passing game. Look for Stroud and the Texans to rebound in their home opener. CJ Stroud is my quarterback start of the week.
Very nice pick. Is he throwing it to Nico Collins?
I sure as heck hope so. Please, God.
I know you do because he's on your lineup.
All right, who's your running back start of the week?
All right, Javonte Williams, Mr. Cowboy. The Cowboys are going to host the Giants on Sunday. I don't know what can we say about Javonte Williams here. He's the workhorse. He's got the workhorse role locked in. The Giants' run defense is really kind of struggling. But the big thing is the red zone upside. He's already scored 2 touchdowns in week 1, and then he should benefit from a strong offensive line, ranked second best right now in yards before contact per attempt. So Javonte Williams is my start of the week.
Javonte is just a good he's a good football player in that he, like we've always mentioned, picks up the blitz. He's in the right place. He catches well, but he's not explosive. So he's going to need those short down touchdowns. And last week he showed whenever those running backs get those couple short yard carries and they get in, they keep getting those chances. If they get stuffed 2 weeks in a row, they're going to stop giving the ball, but he's earned the right to get a couple more short yardage touchdown looks. And at a 12.2 projection, he's got a pretty decent chance. If he gets in the end zone once, he'll probably beat that projection. Before I get to my running back, I forgot to mention CJ Stroud has an 18.2 point projection. So a couple touchdowns and 250 yards. Let's do this, Stroud. Let's beat that projection. All right, my running back start of the week. You mentioned before you think a high-scoring game is coming in Detroit. I'm going with David Montgomery. We just saw they're playing the Chicago Bears, who give up the 8th most points to the running back position. We just saw Jordan Mason gash the Bears in the second half with a power running style against those Vikings, against the Bears for the Vikings. And the Lions will use their power running back to attack the same way. So I think Montgomery is due to get his first touchdown of the season. He's going to be the hammer, and being that the Bears are better against the pass and are weaker against the run, I think Dan Campbell's going to want to bite some kneecaps and show that power running game. David Montgomery is my running back start of the week.
I like it. I like it a lot. All right. Wait, is he Knuckles or is he Sonic?
Do they have a nickname? He would be Knuckles. I don't know if is that official.
Oh yeah, that's there's Sonic and Knuckles. That's
I like
Gibbs and Montgomery.
All right.
All right. All right, moving on. Wide receivers. My wide receiver start of the week is Emeka Egbuka. Did I say that right? I hope so. Wide receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the Houston Texans. Monday Night Football. Looks like we both got some starters in this one. He has great momentum. He coming out of 4 of 6 for 67 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's going to have increased target share opportunities with Godwin and McMillan are dealing with injuries, so potentially open up some more targets for them. And then the Monday Night Football, he's got a huge stage here. And Baker has shown a chemistry with him. So I see this being a pretty big game with him coming out of the slot position.
And he's projected at 12.6 points. So he's going to need to have a decent game here, but he already showed that he has a nose for the end zone.
For sure.
All right, my wide receiver start of the week. I went a little off the board here. I'm going with Cedric Tillman of the Browns. We just saw what the Ravens were able to give up in terms of he gave up 200 yards to Josh Allen in like 12 minutes. So we know Joe Flacco is going to throw the ball a ton. He's got a great chemistry with Cedric Tillman. And it doesn't hurt that Cedric Tillman's projection is only down to 8.4 points, making it a good chance to get above that. So let's see. I got the Baltimore Ravens give up the second most points to the wide receiver position. And with a lot of comeback time in this game, I think Cedric Tillman has a good chance to beat his projection. Cedric Tillman is my wide receiver start of the week.
Like it a lot.
All right. Sorry, Bernie. I'm going to take you were busy and you said you didn't have time to get a fourth and long. I'm going to try this here. We're already really long on our show, so it's going to be a long show, guys. This is going to be look at those time codes, load up the segments you want, and come back and load the next ones when you have time. So we're going to do a fourth and long with Mike instead of Bernie. But he...
First down, the game's over. Go for it.
This measurement could determine the Giants'
It is
season.
time for fourth and long.
With Bernie.
All right, guys, I'm sorry I'm taking this one. I was trying to help out my partner here. All right, this one, guys, we're going to talk about coaching and when they should or shouldn't be fired. I'm not a fan of firing coaches, but there's always a time and place for everything. All right, so we all see the online chatter, the social media posts, the keyboard warriors throwing their hot takes out into the ether. Are these ramblings of toxic fans, or is it justified frustration of decades of empty promises? When is it okay to politely request the dismissal of a head coach or front office manager of your favorite team? And how much does the past successes, even if only modest or short-lived, buy time for a coach for the decision makers at the top of the team? We start with Mike Norvell in Tallahassee. This head coach of the FSU Seminoles had a wonderful year in 2023, finished an undefeated season, and apparently was snubbed from making the college football playoffs due to an injury to their starting quarterback. Then it followed with an awful 2-10 season, and the fan base was clamoring for contract buyouts and dismissals. Listen, I'm no FSU fan here, but this is an example of overreach, rash decisions, and what I call a counterproductive fan toxicity. Those same fans are cheering now that they're 2-0 with a upset win against the Tide in week 1. Staying in the state and staying at the college ranks, we have Billy Napier in Gainesville entering his 4th season with a barely 500 record. The difference here is that a great season has yet to be had. He gets a few 4-game winning streaks after starting the season 2-5. That gives his fans little hope, but these streaks are short-lived and they seem to happen after the starting quarterback he selects gets hurt. The question begs to be asked. If the backup quarterback was better than the starter the whole time, why does he keep choosing the wrong quarterback to begin the season? These small streaks that take the stink off bad starts are nice, but they don't build momentum as the next year starts with a slow start again. This is like a yo-yo or Lucy holding the football situation, just enough of a tease of some success to realize years later you've been in a dead-end relationship the whole time. All right, now we're moving to the pro ranks here, to the other teams in South Florida. My favorite team, the Miami Heat, the longest tenured coach in the NBA, considered by many to be the best coach in the league. A team that for years seemed to overperform, get the best out of their players, and create a mass delusion of championship or bust among their fans. These types of coaches earn a very long leash, but they too are not above criticism. The last couple of years, for example, have been very hard to watch, not as a spoiled fan, but as one who knows the ingenuity and the guile of the past is simply not being exhibited anymore. Distractions, resting on laurels, I cannot determine, but the successes will allow for multiple failures. But if the 3rd consecutive year of stale offense and loss of a locker room voice, will this legacy finally come to an end? Now for the one we all want to talk about here, going to the Miami Dolphins. I know it might be controversial to some Dolphin fans, but I believe that the unceremonial firing of Brian Flores was a dirty move by the front office. I'm not going to lie. Asking a coach to lose, maybe even bribing him to do so, and then stating the reason for his firing was because he didn't win enough. I'm sorry, guys, but that is two-faced, dirty PR tactics. But even I have to admit that after the hiring of Mike McDaniel, it seemed like the right move as the acquisition of Tyreek Hill set the offense ablaze. Tua finally had a cheerleader in his corner instead of that disappointed uncle figure that Flores was. Tua even led the league in passing yards. Unfortunately, though, injuries and cold weather late in the year would keep the elusive playoff win drought to continue well into its third decade. The quirky Mike McDaniel earned a bit of a leash as it seemed injuries were a fair excuse for falling short of the team's goals. But the inability to beat teams with winning records, the quirkiness has now been realized as an inability to communicate, and the ramblings with no content or context have become exhausting to everyone that hears them. Hey, I'm not the kind of guy who clamors for anyone to lose their job, but the current Dolphins coach has about 2 weeks left, or there will be no other options from the usually impatient fan base having all the right reasons to voice their frustrations. I'm sorry, Coach Mike, but if we don't turn this around very soon, you know what it is? It's time to go.
Time to go!
All right, Bernie, I don't know if I did you justice there. I threw that together the last second. What are your parameters on when a coach should be at least considered being replaced?
I think if the coach comes in and he's got his offensive coordinator, he's got his quarterback, he's got all the pieces that he wants in there, and he's able to make personnel decisions, and he is losing football games, losing the locker room, just not making smart decisions, then he should have a year to 3 years, depending on how bad the situation is. Now, if this is a coach that comes in and he's just like thrown into the mix and he's just got to deal with it on the fly and he's just making do, but you can see slow changes, then I think that continuity and consistency and, letting the whole system build, I think you get 5 years. These things don't happen overnight, and it really comes down to the GM. Especially in the Dolphin situation, I think the GM needs to go. McDaniel, I'm on the fence. I was all for let's bring this young kid in, this offensive mastermind. But I think that he just doesn't have control of the locker room or the whole system of what's going on. He's not John Gruden.
I would say thankfully, but okay, fair enough.
No, I mean Chip Kelly,
someone who commands the room, kind of thing. Yeah.
And Chip Kelly's back in the game. Chip Kelly is a great offensive coordinator. He was a decent coach. He wasn't a bad coach by any means. I didn't think that he was horrible. Chip Kelly could outcoach McDaniel for the Dolphins and get that team, back on track. But if the GM is still there making personnel decisions, doing stuff with draft picks, signing bad contracts, then the front office needs to change.
All right, I don't disagree at all. I don't want them to fail. I want them to turn it around. But if there's no sign of progress here, let's just pull the Band-Aid off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's almost like what you said about the Heat. Do you want your sports team, whoever you're rooting for in whichever league it is, do you want them to be middle of the road, or do you want them to be great or bad? It's like I want 2 years of great, and I can deal with 3 or 4 years of bad. As long as I've got 3 and 4 or 5 years of great, I can deal with the bad.
That's
if I'm in the middle of the road, it's like, okay, we're never going anywhere in the middle of the road.
I think you should have the right to earn the leash, and if you've earned it, you should have it. So if you, like you said, 3 out of 5 years are great and 1 year's bad, that shouldn't be the defining thing. But you had 3 years in a row bad. Now it's time to at least talk about it, and you better turn it around, or we're going to be in an awkward spot.
Yeah, and once you lose the fan base, though, it's hard to get the fan base back. I mean, winning is the only thing that gets the fan base back. You can be a great coach, and lose some games, and if the fan base is like, yeah, it's all right, we like this coach, it's okay. They're not going to kick you out that fast.
All right, guys, let's move along. It is time to select our Wingman Jam. Let's get our controllers. Let's get to the screen. Let's pick our teams for this week's Wingman Jam.
Wingman Fantasy Football.
Wingman Jam with Bernie the Bounty Hunter and Amazing Spidey. Boom shakalaka. Miami Dolphins, New England Patriots, to a B or not to a B? May that be the question. All right, Bernie, we've talked about this game a lot here. I'm going with the New England Patriots and Drake May and Trevion Henderson. You've got the Dolphins with Tua Tagovailoa and Devon Achane. You said, do you think the Patriots are going to win? I think you picked the Patriots. I picked the Dolphins.
I think the Patriots are going to win by 3. Yeah.
Okay. So, so we got a good matchup here. We'll see how this one goes. But the thing is, we're not just playing against each other. We are for bragging rights. But if you guys pick your Wingman team stacks out there, you can join us and earn some points to earn yourself a seat in the first Showcase Showdown, where the winner of that against the second seat of the Showcase Showdown will earn themselves a prize. So go ahead and pick your teams, guys. You can comment on any of our videos. I'll search them all and I'll put them together, and I'll collate them into one list so you can see them on everywhere. So good luck to you, Bernie. Good luck to the Dolphins, and may the force be with you.
Oh, thank you very much.
All right, guys. It is now time to dive deep into this week's mailbag.
You've got mail.
You've got mail.
Wingman Fantasy Football.
Mailbag! All right, this one comes in from Kevin Bozeman, 5544. He says here, I saw your parody post-game presser with Coach Mike, and it had me laughing out loud. This guy is a true clown. We are just bashing the Dolphins today. It's a therapeutic, hopefully cathartic. Hopefully, it'll get them to win. Listen, we're pretty ambivalent and nice to these guys. If we're turning, it's time to make some moves. First of all, thank you very much, Kevin Bozeman, for the response there. I want to let you know, in case you were unaware, I've come to learn here that there is a GoFundMe page out there to rent a charter flight that will fly a banner over the stadium this Sunday, suggesting the firing of Greer and Mike McDaniel. It should be over Hard Rock Stadium at approximately noon. That's what's been relayed to me. So if you're tailgating out there, guys, for that game, look up and you might see a sign that agrees with your sentiment here. All right, we talked about this a little bit, so is that all right if we move along to the next one?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. This next one is from Anonymous. It says, I need help with a start-sit question. Bernie, I'm asking you, should I play Drake May against the hapless Dolphins or Justin Herbert against the Raiders on Monday night? Asking for a friend.
Oh, Drake May is going to give you a more consistent floor to ceiling ratio. Justin Herbert will give you the higher ceiling, but that floor might be a little bit lower just because of game script and them running the ball a little bit more this game. So I would play, if you need your quarterback to perform to win, I would go ahead and play Justin Herbert. If you don't need your quarterback to perform to win, if they could be middle of the road, then play Drake May.
I want to play May because I drafted him higher, but I like the fact of having that last guy on Monday night to save my ass if I'm behind.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, I'm all for that. So,
all right, guys. Hey, thank you so much for joining us, guys. We're not as long as I thought, a little longer. We'll figure it out. Let us know what segments you like the best, which ones we can cut out here. We're trying to broaden out a little bit, so we don't want to cut stuff right away until we know how long it takes and what people might like here. But don't forget to join us for our Sunday morning quickie to get the latest news on who's in or who's out. And if you want to check on it yourself, just go to our website here at perfect. Oh, wrong one. Sugarcane. Doesn't matter. That's a different website at wingmanfantasyfootball.com. Go ahead and look at that. It'll give you the inactives, some aggregated news, some Twitter feeds of prominent reporters to get the latest news to help you set your lineups. With that being said, guys, I want to thank you all so very much for watching and or listening to another episode of Wingman Fantasy Football, the League Podcast. You can find us on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Just do me the favor and leave a review, a 5-star rating, and leave some comments if you would, please. That would be very much appreciated. And if you want to see these pretty faces, all of our graphics, and our mistakes, you can go to our YouTube channel at wingmanfantasyfootball.com/YouTube. When you head over there, guys, do me the favor, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment and let us know which teams and stacks you're going to pick for your Wingman Jam. Friendly reminder, you can't pick the same team twice. So we have a lot of choices, but you can't pick the same team you picked last week. So keep that in mind and leave a comment, and we'll get you in our next Mailbag segment. With that being said, guys, may your glasses be full, your mugs stay frosty.
And remember, maybe Mike McDaniel is quiet quitting and we just don't know it.
Watch for the next pressure, guys. We got another one coming this Sunday. All right, we'll see you next time.